All right, good afternoon, guys. Welcome into another video. Just going to do a quick recap of today's trading. The trades I took, I ended up taking two trades. For some reason, I'm logged into my live account, but it's not showing the executions. I tried pulling them up, right? But I don't know why it's not loading. I'm actually thinking it's because the market already closed and it's a Friday. So the executions resets because this doesn't even show how much I'm down today. But I'll go through the executions. I'll show you exactly where the two trades were. They were pretty simple, and they were in an area where I was looking for higher prices throughout the day. I think I was a little bit too married to this bias here, this daily inefficiency that we still are engineering a lot of buy side above. I do think this area is going to be met, but look what we ended up doing on the last day of the week. We retraced all this price action that we've been also keeping in mind, right? We keeping in mind all this liquidity here, and then we also have the daily inefficiency on ES that we have not swept inside of, and then we have the unmitigated daily inefficiency. So this could have happened. We did recap this at the beginning of the week that we could also see a displacement lower, taking all this sell side before heading higher. So it's expected, but unfortunately, I was really short. My bias was a little bit more short term towards this buy side above here, and then the SIBI on the daily. So going into the day, I really did not expect this dump, right? I was pretty bullish coming into the day. So I was a little bit wrong my bias today, and that's totally fine, but it's just adapting to those conditions, right? So I was actually looking for to see if there was a short opportunity, but really wasn't anything for me here. At 10:20 was the first opportunity where it could have presented a short opportunity at 10:50. If we drop down to the lower time frames, we pretty much just have a quick meltdown, no type of setup in here, and then we just go straight lower. I was willing to take something short there, but there wasn't any opportunity presenting itself. Then sure enough, we end up taking our final targets. And then here is when I get off the charts actually, and I have to go pick something up from the store. I come back, and this has already happened. This would have been the A plus setup here, but I was away from the charts, unfortunately. So when I came back, I was already pricing was around here, this area. But let's take a look at this price action here. We actually have an SMT at the lows. We displace higher, and then we are creating our order block here on the 5. And I really much like this, right? We come and retrace into that order block right there. And then we have a pretty clear setup to the upside with this inversion getting inversed, right? We're respecting bullish PD arrays here, this bullish fair value gap, order block, displace, we inverse it, and we have a nice, easy, low resistance liquidity to what? To all this buy side here that's been accumulated. This would have been the trade if I was on the charts that I definitely would have wanted to take. Then later on, I did like this right here on the 5. I like that we had a 5-minute SIBI to the downside, and then we just came down to mitigate this inefficiency, and then we displaced higher, leaving us with the fair value gap on the 5-minute. Then we come down, we tap the 5-minute, and I like the closure on that. But before that, I'm talking about this, what creates a 5-minute. I was getting a little too ahead of myself. Let's go a little bit back. I did like this reaction here and this setup here. However, I didn't like how we had a 5-minute open, so I wasn't willing to take it here. I did want to see a nice closure, but by the time it closed, it was already all the way up here. So it came back one more time, tapped into the inverse on the 5, and then just took off to the final target, which would have been this for me. Now we come back, we tap the 5-minute. This is what I was talking about already. I do like the closure, but there's no setup in here for me, right? There's a very small fair value up here, but I'm not taking that. And sure enough, it does work. But where I did take a setup was on this upcoming 5. So I did expect a continuation higher, at least into the 15-minute unmitigated. But I did keep in mind that this was also a 15-minute order block, which if we go to our 15-minute time frame, we do have an order block here, which is holding price down, right? But I did like how we were respecting bullish PD arrays. We had made a 15, we had inverse to 15, and all we had was this last line of defense for the bears in the form of this 15-minute order block. So then we start displacing lower from there, but I do like the reaction here. I believe I enter here on this candle. So this is how my trade looked like. I did like the follow through on this trade. Um, and then I put my stop right there, and I was just targeting a 1 to 2, which would have just led me to about right there. Unfortunately, it didn't give it to me at all. It broke even for a little bit and then just went straight to stop. After I get stopped out, I see this as a sweep on liquidity internally, as a manipulation leg, right? Just sweeping, and I like the closure on here. So then I go back to the lower time frame. This is where I took my second trade. It was really pretty straightforward. The same model presented itself, except this time we had our inverse fair value gap, our fair value gap, small breaker, right? And we have reclaimed this also fair value gap on this side. So I did like this right here, and I ended up taking it. So it looked a little like this. My stop, if I wanted to be a little bit more conservative, could have been right there at the bottom of this candle low, because should expect this to be like an institutional order flow entry where it just taps it and goes. But I ended up putting my stop here at this low, and then I was still targeting a 1 to 2, which would, I think, lined up with this right there, close to that liquidity. 1 to 2. And unfortunately, it tapped it. Seemed like it was going to work out, and then just immediately went to stop. Now, at this point, I was completely off the charts. I was like, okay, I'm done. Those are 2 trades for the day. I don't want to keep pushing out on Friday. I did de-risk, so I only used 1 micro here, and then I ended up using 2 micros here because of the quality of the setup here on the second opportunity. Now, I do want to notice that, do want to note that on here, on yes, I like the fact that after I got stopped out, we inversed this 5, right? And then inside of here, there's a beautiful setup that I did like, but I did not take because I had already taken these 2 losses. So I wasn't willing to keep pushing it today on a Friday. Just rather preserve my capital. This whole week has been a little bit rough for me. Monday, red, small red. Tuesday, small red. Wednesday, no trading. Thursday, I did not take a trade. And then Friday, again, another small red day. So I can't really complain. The week was a small red week. You're going to have those, and that's what you have to be prepared for your overall system to be able to withhold those type of days and not go on tail, to not feel like, oh, the market's after you, because you can for sure feel like the market's after you get stopped out, and then it starts working in your favor, right? Like it really took me out by 2 points, and then it starts displacing higher. I did not get induced in here, but I did give it another shot if this was going to work out higher and we were going to continue to price to these unmitigated PD arrays that we had to the left, right? Since we had been dumping all day. So I think it's a good trade. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Something to keep in mind, we were down close to 2% on the day. So, being more conservative, that's the reason why I only used 1 micro and then 2 micros. So it didn't lose me a lot of money, right? And so here, back to this trade, I really like the fact that we had this beautiful setup here, an inversion, fair value up to the downside. And then we hold those PD arrays, and then we display slower. And my target would have just been these relative lows here, and then targeting the inefficiency on the 5. I wouldn't ask for more. Obviously, you can target the 2, but if I would have taken this trade, I would have been more conservative because I had already taken a loss. So I probably would have just targeted this and be content with that. Probably just make my money back and call it a day. But yeah, I'm not going to continue to chase this. And then if this wouldn't have worked out, then it would have been 3 losses, and I'd rather just not. I know it's going to be better price action, better opportunities. We just have to be patient. So, recap on the whole week overall. I think it was a really good week. Good management of money, good management of risk, everything. Emotions were pretty much under control. I don't see this as an emotional setup or emotional trade. The model is there. Everything confirms it. Obviously, I'm not explaining every single little thing that I see in this price action, but there are reasons why I would love to take this again. But just long story short, there's a fair value gap and an inverse, and that's probably the easiest way to explain it to everyone watching. But I know the model will present itself again. I know everything works. It's just sometimes you have red weeks, and that's why you have to be prepared for those times when they come. You can have a red month, red days typically, but you want to mitigate those by avoiding days that you can potentially make them worse. Keep your losses small, and then be able to make them back and give yourself the opportunity to make them back next week or the week following. So I'll probably just be trading next week. Next week seems like a pretty good day. Pretty good week. We have CPI, we have NFP. So I am planning on trading this week upcoming. And then after that, I probably will take it off just because look at this, it's not going to be really ideal for trading. And then I probably won't trade it until we coming back in January. probably like the second week of January. Maybe I'll start off on, we'll see, maybe Wednesday. It just seemed, no, 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 no. More than likely the second week of January, right? Give yourself a nice little break, work on other things that you need to work on, and be ready to, I'll probably be tape reading, but I probably won't be trading any of this just because the end of the year, I do tend to be more cautious, and the best thing I can do is de-risk, like days like today where I only use one micro, two micros, just to kind of give it a shot. If it works out, great. If not, then it is what it is, right? You just simply journal it and reflect on what you're doing. So remember to treat this like a business. It's incredibly serious. So if you are just messing around and just getting lucky or hoping to get lucky, that's probably not the best way to trade, in my opinion. But hey, everybody's different. Everybody has a different approach. So that being said, that's pretty much all I have. Just wanted to do a quick recap. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the executions, but yeah, these are the trades. Not this one. This was just a forward test along with some other ones, but these are the only ones I took today. There were two stop outs on the same exact setup, same attempt, same idea, bullish bias. So follows the strategy, follows the overall plan. You have to give it a shot, right? And that's all it is. They're just simple attempts. But I hope everybody has a good weekend. Remember to stay productive. And I'll see you guys next week. Or if I do a recap on Sunday, hopefully I get some time. Then I'll see you guys on Sunday. But have a good day.